80% of global wastewater is dumped, untreated, into the environment. As a result, nearly 2 billion people worldwide are drinking from contaminated water sources. Despite this dangerous reality, wastewater management and infrastructure maintenance are often regarded as too costly and technology dependent. But Renesas is announcing a Clinton Global Initiative commitment to action to turn wastewater treatment plants into water resource recovery facilities in Norway. Using an innovative filtration system that removes 99% of fine particles from wastewater, which is more than current systems filter, this commitment will improve public health by expanding access to clean water, reduce collective carbon emissions by 20,000 tons, and enable renewable carbon resources to be harvested for fertilizer, soil conditioners, and energy. This sustainable and efficient solution is an approach that has tremendous potential to take to scale. It provides a model for anyone working to eliminate wastewater discharge. Thank you to Renesas for striving to create a healthier, more sustainable future for all.
Please welcome to the stage Gail Samak Lamon.
Good afternoon, everyone. I actually could not be more excited. We had an amazing first session this morning, so you've come back for the energized afternoon version, and today we're going to talk about climate resilience. If we needed any topic more relevant to today, I actually probably could not find one. And really, today we're talking about more than 230 companies which were nominated for the Greenhouse process, and a cohort of 30 entrepreneurs were chosen from across the globe. The key goal of Greenhouse, because you might say, what exactly are we doing here today? Well, we're going to do a lot of things, but the first thing is that we're going to hear from some incredible entrepreneurs who are going to talk about what they're doing, what they're driven to make change in what sector, and we're going to talk about what capital they need, both social and financial, to grow, and how all of us in this room can be part of it today. We are going to hear from 10 startups, and at the end of these sessions, we're going to select one winner from each of the 3 Greenhouse sessions, and that will be announced during the closing of the main stage on Tuesday, so you will have to stay tuned. Before we start and hear from these incredible folks from around the world who've joined us, I really have the pleasure and privilege of guiding a conversation with 3 judges who are going to help us to meet these entrepreneurs and to choose who will receive the $25,000. And they are all really both bring a unique depth of experience from philanthropy, from fund management, and from the private sector. So with that, I would like to welcome to the stage Maya Patel, CEO of Tarsadia Foundation, Eric Lemelson, President of the Lemelson Foundation, and Laura Chow, Head of Charities, People's Postcode Lottery Group. So I would like to start by asking each of you, as you think about the climate space and your work in it, what is it that your work is about and what guides you? Because it can be so overwhelming to think about investing in climate, right? Where do you start? How do you break it down? How do you think about what's investable and what isn't at this moment? What's early, what's late? How do you approach the problem set of investing in climate?
So we're in the field of philanthropy, and we're really a typical grant-making foundation. So for us, it was it's a journey, or we're learning as we're going, and it's also something that we have to intersect with what we're working in. All the issue areas that we do work in is important to us as a family, but we understand that as a global initiative and a greenhouse initiative, we need to divide and conquer and understand where we can play a role in that. And as a funder, I think it's very important that we all play a role.
So I work with the Postcode Lottery Group, and we are a fundraiser, and we work with communities and civil society because we really believe that civil society is where the beginnings of change happen. And because we understand that communities have this incredible ability to develop ideas, when we fundraise for them, we allow them to choose what they think the best intervention is to create that change. So for us, we are trying to meet lots of different organizations who have something innovative and different and inspiring, which is scalable and has a strong team and set of investors who will bring them forward. So but in terms of the idea, it sits with the organizations we partner with because they're the experts and we're the fundraisers.
So you're talking about philanthropy and you're talking about partnerships, and I want to come back to kind of weave this all together, but talk to us about a foundation, the Lemelson Foundation. How do you think about where you can make an impact? Because there is so much, there is both a huge need and also huge dollars being deployed.
Thanks for the opportunity to speak today and judge. Lemelson Foundation, probably very few of you have heard of. My father was an independent inventor, and a few years before he died in 1997, our family started this foundation to actualize things he had been thinking and saying and feeling and knowing all his life. To him, he was an obsessive inventor, independent inventor, and so penetrating his mind allowed us, through the process, allowed us to come up with some core concepts. And what we've focused on historically until recently, when we have this new climate program, is what I'd call ideas to impact, and empowering very often younger inventors, sometimes in teams and sometimes not in teams, to bring ideas and inventions to market. And it's not easy, as we know. I should mention, though, that my other hat, in addition to Lemelson Foundation, I run a climate-focused foundation that works in Bhutan in the Eastern Himalaya on climate justice, climate adaptation, and on mitigation. And so I'm the one in the family who's sort of climate obsessive and have been for a long time. And as an aside, and then I'll stop talking about the family, I started law school to study environmental law in August of 1988. And in June of 1988, Jim Hansen gave testimony before Congress, had a deep impact on me and a lot of people. And so when I think and we think about climate, our program is only about a year old. We think about climate justice as a really important aspect because, to be truthful, technology has different sides to it, and tech-based solutions to social and environmental problems often have inequality sort of baked into them if climate justice and justice considerations are not a fundamental part. So that's a big part of how we are evaluating groups and efforts. In addition, we are looking at hard-to-abate sectors. There's a lot of money going into renewables right now. I mean, it's many hundreds of billions, which needs to happen, actually needs to be much more than that. But there are hard-to-abate sectors, number one, like steel, concrete, that we need to make immediate progress in those areas because both in relative and in absolute terms, their share of emissions will grow rapidly if we don't deal with that immediately. We also are looking at funding indigenous groups who need to be further empowered. In many cases, they have very little economic and political power. But, for example, we're funding an effort in the Amazon. We are bringing internet connectivity to indigenous groups who are suffering from logging and mining impacts, illegal logging and mining. And yeah, some kids will probably be on TikTok in those communities, but the intention and I think the results will show that those people know best about how to preserve their forests for us, right? Sorry.
Thank you. And I kind of want to pick up on this idea. Maya, you work with a lot of communities. You do a lot of work in terms of thinking across spaces. What is going to be next? What trends do you see in the folks who are coming to you, in the ideas that are coming to you, that have particularly captured your imagination in the climate space?
Because we don't have that experience yet, and we are new to this space, we're being approached through even our own existing grantees about how do we intersect this, like I said before. And for us, one of the funds that we did work with was Plus One Global Fund, and it's an organization that it's a collaborative with the Roddenberry Foundation, and so we help 30 small farm holders in Kenya, all across Africa, and just to find food systems or food waste or food insecurities, trying to create that ecosystem of safety, trying to find areas of, what's the right word? Like, they're working together to be able to solve some of the climate issues that are happening to them. And Africa, as everybody knows, is being, devastated. There's so many dire situations that are happening all the time. So it's 30 or more organizations that we're funding at this time, but we're looking for more partnerships all the time.
Well, and on that theme of partnerships, and it's so interesting because, we talked this morning about Africa being home to so much renewable energy power too, and I think really being a might going forward on that. And you see with climate that everything now is a climate issue, right? I had done a lot of work around women and girls, and you can't talk about what the fate of women and girls is without talking about how 80% of those displaced by climate are women. And so I just wonder if you could talk to us a little bit about how you approach the partnerships question on climate, because it touches so much of what's happening globally.
Yeah, sure. I mean, we set up 32 years ago, and we're across Europe, so we have quite a big community across Europe because we're running lotteries in 5 countries. And because of the fundraising that we have through our model, which is a subscription lottery model, where people can sign up with their postcode, or here it would be your zip code, that means that we have the ability to talk to those communities that are playing and supporting this, but also we have this ability to work with so many different organizations. We raised over close to $1 billion last year, and that's our kind of annual fundraising projection. So what we've found is the different organizations that we can fund from all the lotteries in Europe are able to show us what they've seen. And more recently, they've seen a lot more in terms of the climate shocks, which have a greater amount of, like, longer monsoons and times. So you've got dengue fever moving up the scale, and this has come from climate. We've seen, the recent disasters in Libya and Morocco. So what we do is we try to raise additional money to support emergency relief efforts, but exactly what you were talking about, this intersectionality between health and then adaptation, with people having to consider the economies that they're working in, where you have fish stocks moving to different areas and things moving around. Women and girls, absolutely, totally impacted by what's happening much faster, but also the rush for carbon credits for things that need to change and move. Lots of tree planting, not enough land to plant all the trees on for the amount of tree planting projects that are out there. How can this be done smarter, cleverer? And these are the types of things that we're looking at the moment, this innovation to not just do what was started perhaps 5 or 10 years ago, but look at it very differently today, because the speed at which change is happening is frightening. And if we don't rethink the whole system, then I think we're losing.
Well, and I want to come back to you in just one second, but I want to say this is where the hope of our entrepreneurs comes in, right? Because as much as there is real despair about what's happening, there's real opportunity that people are thinking through innovations. How do we get to the next milestone? How do we avoid the worst? How do we take what is a huge challenge and unearth opportunity within it? And I think that's what we're going to hear about today, is what you all are going to judge. So I just want to keep, for everybody who's saying, oh my gosh, is this going to be a doom and gloom session? No, it's not. So be prepared. There's going to be lots of hope coming out of here. Just as we think about the entrepreneurs and obviously being a family of an inventor, how do you think about funding innovation? Because scale is so much of the challenge, right? When it comes to, you can have an amazing invention, but if you can't get it to market, it's an incredible challenge.
Yeah, I mean, it's not an easy process for the inventor/entrepreneur, and our group knows that better than any of us. How do I think about it? I'll give you an example of something we just voted on a couple weeks ago to fund. We are trying to find the places that are being ignored to some degree and are yet, nevertheless, are incredibly important. And we're trying to scale private equity efforts in Africa because there's an awful lot of opportunity in Africa to reduce emissions. Obviously, they need a lot of money for adaptation, but from the business side, if you can get Africans to organize, and they're doing the work, but they need capacity building, they need funds to do that, and they need funders like us who are willing to fund general expenses and not just fund specific programs, because that's mostly what foundations do.
Yes, attention all donors. General funding is actually a great thing for people who are seeking assistance. Yeah.
So just to sum it up, that's something we've learned. I don't have unanimity in the family on that, but those of us who feel strongly about climate in this program are consistently in favor of empowerment. I mean, that has to be a big part of what everyone does here.
Yeah, please.
I think one of the parts of our philosophy is that we offer long-term unrestricted funding. So there is that patience, and I think that's really important. You know, you were just saying, talking to other donors, it's really important that the support is in the long term, that you allow the people that you work with to fail fast, learn faster, I'm hoping, and that you can have that year-on-year core costs unrestricted, allow people who are doing huge innovation and doing really well to have the freedom to put the money where it's spent and not move with the priorities of the donor. We're not the experts. We fundraise, they're the experts. I don't understand the science, the depth of the science, but I do understand the ambition and understand how things can move to scale and can inspire other people and become a blueprint for future projects.
We have a really great success story. We funded NILUS $25,000 in 2019 through the CGI initiative, and they worked in Puerto Rico to do a pilot program. From that program, they were so hugely successful that they will be getting a huge commitment to action. And for us, that's a success story. So you start small, we pilot the program, we see, we test, we learn, we listen, and we keep growing with them as they need. Of course, they need capacity building grant. They need unrestricted. So half our portfolio is unrestricted. It's long-term, multi-year, and trust-based. We trust who we're working with. We're putting that trust into them. We are not the experts. We do not know any of these issue areas, but we believe in you, and we know that we all have to make a difference. We all need to do our part, right? As a role of a funder, we need to believe in who we're working with.
Yes, well, that's a great moment to end on, because I just want to say all of us in this room have a place in this conversation, whether it's the capital allocation, whether it is deploying capital on this, where we're talking about philanthropic capital that is patient, that gives entrepreneurs and innovators the time and room to fail and succeed and move faster, right? Everybody has a stake in this, and I think it couldn't be more urgent or more personal. So with that, I want to thank our incredible judges, and I'll be back in just a moment to introduce our first entrepreneur. Get ready, as our first entrepreneur is Helga Jorgensen, and we actually could not be more excited to welcome you to the stage.
Thank you so much. So, my name is Helga Jorgensen, and I'm with 7 Analytics. And I'm supposed to click now? Yeah. So, how much water will be at your doorstep tomorrow? If you know that, then you can act. So, our mission in 7 Analytics is to democratize flood risk information. And we do that by developing technology for predicting flood building by building. So we are now eager to put this information out to the countries where the floods are the greatest. And as we can see now, floods are striking us globally today. Here we can see examples from China, India, and even California here in the US were hit quite hard with floods just this August. But also we can see that September has been terrible, with flash flood and dam burst in Libya causing thousands of deaths. And in fact, out of the 387 natural catastrophes last year, close to half of them were caused by flooding. So it's a huge problem for us. So we are from Bergen, a city in Norway, and known as to be the rain capital of Europe. And Norway has been ranked to be one of the most resilient countries in the world. But even Norway and we are not prepared for the rapid change in climate. And we were also heavily hit by a flood this August. You can see this house flowing down the stream. So it's a global big problem for all. And what we also can see now is that the insurance are changing based on natural catastrophes. So people are losing insurance, and if you don't have an insurance, you'll get a loan, a mortgage. But with our building risk information, insurance can tailor their offerings, but also asset owners and homeowners can do mitigating actions to reduce the probability of being affected by a flood in the future. And if you invest $1 in flood protection, you can save up to as much as $200 in avoided damages. So what we do in 7Analytics, we combine geology, hydrology, advanced mapping technology, machine learning, and data science, and we turn a weather forecast into knowledge that you can act on. It's super advanced, but it's also super rewarding. And here is a location in Houston, in Texas, where we have been taking the weather forecast and turned it into a flood risk for all the doorsteps in this area. And we do this by real time, so that you can know what will happen at your location the next hour and the next day. So you can do mitigating actions early on. You can protect yourself and your valleys before it's happening. Further on, we use this technology to real time, yes, and we try now to democratize this information into the world so that people can protect their assets. And as deadly floods are now hitting us globally, it's of course it's sad to ask these questions: are we ready? And it's not fun to ask because the answer is evident. We are not ready. We are now seeking partners and to help us to reach our impact on this. We're seeking partners with insurance, investors, asset owners, and so on, to help us reach out with this impact. And let's work together to build doorsteps that are resilient today and tomorrow, because we need to act now. Climate change is already here, so we need to adapt. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And now we're going to hear from Philip Michael Weiner. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Philip Michael Weiner. I'm the co-founder of Recapture, and we're a tech-enabled marketplace for developing nature-based carbon projects. And what I'd like to talk to you today is how we're scaling carbon removal by harnessing the power of traditional farmers to deploy Recapture's carbon project franchises, which generate institutional quality returns. And we pretty much started this journey after a decade scaling companies in Silicon Valley. And what we saw were tens of billions of tons in emissions after writing the first ever Fortune 500 report, but that carbon markets were a broken model that didn't have the capacity or were able to serve these customers. And we unearthed that what's actually holding us back was not lack of technology. We're actually probably drowning in technology, but it's actually an implementation bottleneck. We lack the bankable project models that incentivize project developers and companies to remove emissions at scale. I think many folks in here, after hearing some of the conversations, know that when large corporates and investors look to invest in projects, they tend to look a certain way on the balance sheet, ideally positive. But unfortunately, the model of buying carbon credits doesn't necessarily scale, especially for a company like a Unilever that has 63 million tons in emissions annually. And this sort of technology looking for a market playbook is actually probably going to be the reason why voluntary carbon markets will eventually fail. Good news is there's a solution. And so we believe the future is actually developing carbon project assets that large companies are going to own that can simultaneously generate financial returns and carbon removal at a profit, building on the success of solar and wind. So how does this work? Well, first, we seek out technologies that can be deployed via natural means that can produce what we're calling embodied carbon commodities. And these are commodities that can be sold into very large, very liquid, underwritable markets. We then wrap those technologies with our Terra Nova OS implementation software, guaranteed off-take agreements for the commodities that are produced, a carbon methodology, and then we'll generate flagship projects with project equity, finance, and debt. We package it all up into a franchise, license it to growers that already own land that can scale this model, and then we'll share we'll transfer the operational know-how. We then share in the revenues for the commodities rolling off the project and the carbon credits, and also reinvest a portion of it into co-benefit projects locally. And this creates a sort of very attractive, impact-focused asset class that combines profitability with carbon dioxide removal at scale and community impact. Now, our first franchise is called the Terra Nova series, and we utilize a patented, hybridized, but sterile species of hardwood tree that's very fast-growing, that's harvestable in just 5 years. And instead of using a clear-cutting methodology, we actually can regenerate these trees out of their own stump to be more efficient with land, up to seven times, using a harvesting process that's forgotten about called coppicing. And what ends up happening is the eco-timber is then pre-sold via guaranteed offtake agreements at planting, and it's sold into the fast-growing wooden building industry, where you can replace materials like cement and steel that have higher footprints, and lock that carbon away up a little bit longer for decades and potentially centuries, all while generating highly competitive returns that would guarantee sort of an investment and an outcome in the end. Then at the end of the project, we intercrop with local species. And this actually isn't a hypothetical model. We have a 12 kiloton flagship project in Northwest Argentina right now. We have paying growers on our platform, and we have active projects that are expected to generate $12 million in returns. We have regulatory approvals, regulatory pathways opened up in multiple countries. I think it's 38 countries right now. And we have a large pipeline of corporates and growers looking to deploy projects in 2024. Now, what makes this model unique is that this is an asset-based model that's repeatable and scalable for land restoration that isn't reliant on carbon markets. And as these projects get de-risked and matured, they actually will become acquisition targets for large corporates that have made these net zero commitments but don't necessarily have a plan. And selling these assets is also going to provide these growers that own these projects with a livelihood-changing exit. We've funded our traction thus far, and now we're rapidly ready to scale up. We recently, this month, opened up a round to sort of accelerate growth and reach profitability within the next 18 months. And our ask, as we're committed to removing megaton removals within the next 5 years, our ask is that we're looking to round things out with experts in industry who have experience in natural capital, project finance, agri-tech, and today generating emissions is equal to generating profits. We aim to flip that script and invite you to join us in making that vision a reality. Thank you for your time.
Thank you to Hug and Philip Michael. It is not easy to get up here, and you all have been incredible, and we are really excited to hear what comes next. And now I would like to welcome Oyinguro Munkpat. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Ayun Gerel Muhbat. I am the co-founder of Felt, and we make air filters made from sheep wool in one of the most polluted capitals in the world. Now, according to the World Health Organization, around 99% of the whole world is breathing unhealthy air. So in this hall, we can see that it's less than 100 people, so roughly none of us are breathing clean air. And this leads to 7 million premature deaths globally, and it's only intended to increase because of urbanization. So those of us who are living in poorly ventilated buildings, we have to rely on air purifiers and filters. And these filters are made from synthetic materials, which turn into unrecyclable waste, creating even more microplastic pollution in air and soils. This became an urge during COVID because we had a lot of discarded mask waste, right? So companies started caring more about their energy efficiency and also the biodegradability of their filter materials. And so we created Airy, which is a patented 100% biodegradable solution that relies on biofibers using local materials. So for our first pilot, we are creating wool-based air filters. And why wool? So first of all, it has innate electrostatic capabilities, which already makes it a really good filter for harmful gases. But also we opted so that it can filter particulate matter, which is like the second most lethal pollutant. And then we are not sacrificing the quality or the cost and pricing of the filters while providing an equally high quality alternative. So far in the last 2 years, we have piloted our filters with air purifier devices, and we've gained 300 customers, 80% of them being pregnant women or women with children under 3 who have children whose lungs are still in the development stage. And we've collected 4 intellectual properties, including utility models, design patents, and trademarks. And we're now in the process of developing a technological patent which proves that our innovation is the first of its kind in the world. So based on this, earlier this year, we went on Shark Tank Mongolia, and we were able to raise funding so that we can set up a production facility and export this filter material roll into various different markets. And we're currently talking to big names in Germany, Turkey, Vietnam, and India. We were also named as a youth ecopreneur by the International Trade Center earlier this year. So right now we're focusing on setting up a production facility which has the capacity to produce 20 tons, which is nothing. But we are talking to buyers in Mongolia and elsewhere already who will fill up this capacity immediately. So our next stage, we are focusing on fiber as a service platform, which means that as COVID happened, we are focusing on production that is more locally sourced and locally manufactured. So we're able to scale to different fibers, such as sisal fiber or baka fiber in different various regions of the world, and use climate data as well as farming data and create locally serviced platforms that can have low capex filtration manufacturing services around the world. So our team is a gender diverse young team. And we have recently hired a CEO who has over 20 years of commercial experience, 15 of them being an executive experience. And right now, as we are looking to scale up from R&D to production facilities, we're asking for more funding and partnerships with expertise in entering different markets. But more than anything, we want you to keep in touch with us and join us in our journey for healthy lungs and a healthy planet. Thank you.
Thank you, Ayun Gurul. And for those of you who are in the back who might be waiting, there are seats. We welcome you. Come up. We won't. I promise we won't bite. And now I'd like to welcome Alex Fisher to the stage. Thank you.
Hi everybody, I'm Alex Fisher. I'm the founder and the CEO of Saturn Bioponics. It's a pleasure to be here talking to you today. So, Saturn Bioponics is a pioneer in soilless crop production globally, providing the lowest cost, most sustainable solution. Saturn addresses critical global challenges, including 10 UN SDGs, which combine to be very positive for both the environment and people. There are so many environmental and commercial challenges of crop production in the soil, and so many advantages of doing it without, that for many crop types, it's the obvious way forward. I founded the company in 2011, taking it through 5 years of pure R&D, 4 years of commercial trials, before beginning larger scale commercial deployments in 2019. And you saw some of those in the pictures on the previous slides. During this period, we've been fortunate to win many awards, gain international recognition, and establish commercial relationships in the UK, Europe, and Asia with growers, distribution partners, and importantly, retailers. Our holistic technological solution is used commercially, has proven unit economics, and a globally scalable model, ensuring the benefits of soilless crop production are, over time, available to all nations and people. Between issues with soil, diseases, resource scarcity, and a broadly negative environmental impact, the problems facing food production are significant. These are exacerbated by a market that is extremely price sensitive and highly conservative. In order to solve this problem, you need to provide a solution that, in addition to being technically suitable, is commercially viable. It has to make money. Saturn's solution has a very significant positive impact on the environment through up to a 96% reduction in land and soil use, 95% reduction in CO2 emissions, 95% less water use, 0 fertilizer runoff and pollution, less food waste, reduced chemical use, and higher nutritional value food. To give you an example of that, that's 1,520 gasoline cars removed from the road every year. It's 16 tons of phosphate saved from running off every year, and it's 140 million gallons of water saved every year. That's over 200 Olympic swimming pools. Saturn's approach is unique and the result of many years of deep scientific research and its practical application. Our science enables us to push plants to adapt and perform optimally in a given environment, which means we don't require the costly and energy-intensive infrastructure of many of the other players in the space. This is reflected in our superior capital efficiencies and profitability. For example, we can produce the same amount of crop as a 5-layer vertical farm for 4% of the resource input cost. We can produce 3 times the crop of a Dutch hydroponic glasshouse for 1/3 of the resource input cost. We can produce, on a pound-for-pound basis, at 60% of the production costs of a UK greenhouse farm. There are 3 components to our technology: growing system hardware, hydroponic science know-how, and genetics. These are interdependent. So for each individual set of genetics, we're working with 7 billion variable combinations. Thus, we've been developing our own software, which, as well as being a highly advanced vessel for our existing IP, is a platform for the integration of machine learning and AI to, over time, manage and respond to all these variables every second of every day, resulting in the most optimal crop production possible in any conditions. Our immediate short-term focus is on initiating the transformation in the US, for which we require approximately $20 million. Following this, we'll expand in the US and turn our focus back to Europe, Asia, and Africa, aiming to achieve a 0.1% global market share of the relevant crop areas, which is about a $200 billion market over the next 7 years. With our solution now firmly established and recognized throughout the supply chain, we'll look to distribute the technology into independent farmers around the world on a capital-light model, aiming to achieve over time a 2% plus market share and enable farmers of all shapes and sizes to improve their financial situation while simultaneously improving their environmental impact. Through our development pipeline, we intend to expand the crop areas that we cover to a $700 billion market within the next 4 to 8 years and to a $1.2 trillion market within the next 8 to 12. Global population demographics dictate that the market will continue to get bigger and environmental pressures will continue to increase, creating an ever greater need for sustainable solutions such as ours. Thank you.
A Huge round of applause for all the entrepreneurs who've taken to the stage thus far. You have done an amazing job. And now I would like to welcome to the stage Peter Selfridge, Global Head of Policy and Senior Vice President at SAP. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Gail. And thank you, all of you. I'm very impressed to share a stage with you. It's very humbling. I also want to thank CGI for this opportunity, and please forgive me. I've brought some notes. I just got off a plane, and my brain is less than functional. I also have to admit something. My daughter somehow switched out all my socks, so I'm wearing thermal socks right now. My feet are very sweaty. So bear with me. So I have the honor to represent SAP, and who is SAP? It's a fair question. We are Europe's largest technology company. We have 100,000 employees worldwide, and we operate in nearly every country. And where we came from is highly relevant to today's discussion because we were once a startup. In 1972, 5 would-be SAP founders left their secure jobs at IBM to follow their dream of digitizing business, which isn't terribly sexy, but at that time it was a radical idea. To save money in those early days, their software development took place on a mainframe of their only customer, and they had to go at night and on weekends when it wasn't in use. Today, we are proud to serve a cloud user base of nearly 300 million people. 99 of the 100 largest companies worldwide are SAP customers, and 97 out of the 100 greenest ones are as well. We are also proudly sit atop the Dow Jones Sustainability Index for software companies. Our founders, even to this day, place an enormous emphasis on keeping that early entrepreneurship spirit alive. That's why in 2017, our board established the SAP I/O Foundry Program to incubate startups and accelerate them. Where we invest is critical. Located across 11 locations worldwide, SAP I/O makes up a global network of top-tier programs that can enable startups to build at scale. We have curated regional ecosystems that cooperate and exchange best practices, a system that also allows for natural scaling opportunities. And to date, thousands of SAP customers have been connected with these startups, and vice versa, they become each other's customers. We're also very intentional about how we invest. It's well known, probably to many in this room, that most of the venture money goes to a very narrow demographic. We therefore went on to launch SAP I/O No Boundaries program, the first comprehensive inclusive entrepreneurship initiative for underrepresented populations in the business software industry. Our first goal was to support 200 startups founded or led by female or underrepresented entrepreneurs by 2023. And we reached this goal a year early because, unsurprisingly, it's not hard to find talented entrepreneurs amongst underrepresented groups. Now, more than 45% of our startups are founded or led by an entrepreneur from an underrepresented population. Supporting global social entrepreneurship is also at the heart of our CSR strategy and our company strategy. Social businesses are the catalysts for positive change, many serving the world's most vulnerable people and societies, as many of you are attempting to do as well or are doing already. SAP enables social enterprises to access new business-to-business ecosystems, and we allow them access to our vast Ariba buyer and trading network. And I'm proud to say that in 2021, SAP helped build capacity for more than 2,000 nonprofit organizations and social enterprises across 94 countries. And we mapped this out with them, and we realized that this touched nearly 1 billion beneficiaries. Like all of you, we want to contribute to a future that looks greener and cleaner. And again, like all of you, we are convinced that technology can and must play a major role. SAP's stated purpose is to help the world run better and improve people's lives. And our objective is to create positive economic, environmental, and social impact across the globe. And we do this 2 ways, as an exemplar and as an empowerer. We empower organizations by providing products and services that meet these sustainability challenges. And we lead by example in our own sustainability practices in our business, pushing hard on our net zero commitments day in and day out. And this dual responsibility allows us to earn trust of our customers because we are walking the walk. With several 100,000 companies using SAP software, we are uniquely positioned to deliver digital solutions that enable companies to manage limited resources productively, contribute to an inclusive economy, and shape a sustainable future. A few quick words about AI, because that's the elephant in the room, I think, this week. this climate week. And we don't believe that AI is necessarily the redeemer or the boogeyman that it's made out to be. But it no doubt bears great potential if used responsibly for accelerating digitally sustainable solutions and helping organizations become more efficient. AI is now embedded in every part of our portfolio, and 24,000 SAP Cloud customers can already use it in their applications. And what this does is it enables end-to-end processes in their businesses to reach a higher level of productivity. And importantly, we've started integrating those same technologies into our sustainability solutions. So as you reach higher levels of productivity, attention can be made to other areas, such as mapping emissions factors so that customers can focus on reduction. We are convinced that it will be a tremendous value add for organizations and governments as they navigate their transformation journeys. And so will all of your cutting-edge solutions that your companies are bringing to market. Finally, today I was asked to share some advice regarding how to grow your business, and I do this with a lot of humility because you're in the throes of it, number one, and number two, I come from a government background. But we work in our group very closely with a lot of these startups, and I've noticed a few things. Number one, take time to consider diverse revenue sources, perhaps via other partnerships or by focusing on a marquee customer that can be a credible reference for subsequent customers. Two, don't get seduced by the pressure to scale at all cost. Pick a region or industry or demographic and work to penetrate that market and take stock of those learnings. Don't rush the hiring process. This is probably my biggest learned in my own organization, as it typically requires greater resources to downsize than it does to hire, and the impact of a missed hire can haunt you. And lastly, use your time here at CGI to connect and share your experiences. I'm sure you're already doing. This is a really unique opportunity, and you can make a lot of unique connections. And as part of that, don't shy away from making the connections that might not seem obvious to your business at first, and take advantage of all the other sessions. So I look forward to hearing the rest of the presentations. Thank you again for your time. Good luck.
Thank you so much, Peter. And now I would like to welcome to the stage Dan Debry.
Hello, everyone. If left unabated, over the next 20 years, there won't be a single person here in this room who would not have had something taken away from them by climate change. I am Dr. Dan Daviri, and I left academia to co-found Carbon Blue and tackle that challenge. So first of all, we as humanity have to reduce our carbon dioxide emissions in every industrial sector as much as possible. But it is not enough, because industry can never reach zero emissions. And this is why the concept of net zero has been introduced. What does it mean? It means that we have to capture back the carbon dioxide, these residual emissions of carbon dioxide, after it has been emitted, and sequester it somehow. And according to the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, these residual emissions together will amount in 2050 to a staggering number of 10 billion tons per year of carbon dioxide. And that is about the annual production of oil, cement, and steel together. So the challenge is not only to capture and remove the carbon dioxide from the environment, but to do so in a way that in only 3 decades, we will be able to scale this industry from practically zero today to be one of the largest industries worldwide. That is quite a challenge. And that is what we are addressing. And I can tell you that there is a way. Everything we need is out there. And this is the premise that our company was founded under. Utilizing existing infrastructure in order to use it to remove carbon dioxide. So the company was founded at early 2022, and now we are 17 people at the company, scientists, engineers, and former C-level executives from the energy and water sector in Israel. And we found a solution, which is water. Why water? Water contains 98% of the carbon dioxide in nature. And our seas, oceans, lakes, and rivers absorbed 30% of the anthropogenic carbon dioxide emissions since the Industrial Revolution. But now, they are saturated. And what we developed a simple, yet non-intuitive, patent-protected chemical process to remove the excess carbon dioxide from water. So all we need is water. We can integrate into water withdrawing infrastructure, existing water withdrawing infrastructure, and split this water stream into carbon dioxide, pure carbon dioxide that can be utilized or sequestered, and decarbonated water, which is then free to absorb more carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. Importantly, we do not add anything to the water, so we have no risk of adverse environmental impact. And maybe most importantly, the decarbonated water is beneficial to many industries. Take desalination, for example. I will not get into the technical details, but desalinating decarbonated water requires 20% less energy and reduces the cost of desalination by 8%, which is a huge benefit to the desalination industry, even without talking about carbon. And at the same time, we can take this carbon dioxide and use it to make the industry, to reduce the carbon footprint of this industry. On the right, you see our prototype, small-scale prototype at a desalination plant in a kibbutz in Israel. Next year, we will integrate it into the water infrastructure of the plant and build the largest water-based carbon removal facility in the world. And desalination is only the beginning, because there are so many industries using water. For example, cooling systems, aquaculture, agriculture, and so on and so forth. And we need your help to expand. If you work in one of those industries, talk to me, because we may be able to help you reduce your operation and maintenance costs, and at the same time to decarbonize your operation, reaching true net zero of your industry. Thank you all so much, and thank you, CGI, for organizing all of this.
Thank you so much. That was great. And now we'd like to hear from Alex Berkowitz.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Alex Berkowitz, and I'm the founder and CEO of Coastal Protection Solutions. I stand here today a climate change survivor. 11 years ago, my hometown of Rockaway Beach, New York, was devastated by Hurricane Sandy. This image was taken 2 blocks from my house, where kids used to be laughing and enjoying endless summers. As I stood on the beach looking at this devastation, I vowed to never let any other community suffer the same way mine did. On that day, I had the idea for an invention. I thought that if I could design something that would reduce the height and velocity of waves, these homes would have stood. See, coastal storms are a major problem for the global population. Around 40% of the global population lives within 60 miles of the coast. And even worse, 50% of the United States population lives within 50 miles to the coast. By the way, 11 years later, my hometown is still unprotected from the next storm because there has been no viable solution that is efficient, effective, and affordable until now. So the problem is that the coastal methods that we have now will not work in the future. They're too slow to build and too expensive. So for instance, concrete walls, jetties in the middle on the top that only work to prevent erosion, dumping piles of concrete into the ocean, and massive wall projects that cost billions of dollars. We need to think differently, be agile, and be faster. When I was a graduate student at Harvard University, I visited the Maestlante Curing Gate, which is on the bottom left-hand corner. That gate took 8 years to build and cost $500 million. I think that we can all agree that not every coastal community has $500 million to protect themselves. Just last week, this is an image of just 2 weeks ago, this is an image of Hurricane Idalia and Typhoon Hannah. Last year alone, economic losses from the disasters were estimated at $313 billion. If we want to survive, we have to change the game, and we have the technology. It's called the wave breaker. It's a revolutionary patent-pending technology that's backed by science. It's a 300-foot floating wave speed bump that decreases the height and velocity of waves to mitigate damage to property and life on shore. So the way it works is that the force of the wave hits the wave breaker. The wave breaker takes on the brunt of the force. Then it starts to roll, and the rest of the wave dissipates over the wave breaker, so that the wave in general afterwards is dissipated by a significant amount. The wave breaker is, compared to its competitors, movable, affordable, scalable, easily deployable, ecological, and streamlined. It's an elegant design that can be manufactured quickly, installed custom to the needs of the site, and prevents erosion. This year, we are working on harvesting wave energy and attaching sensors so that by 2025, each wave breaker will pay for itself. In fact, it will be so profitable that we'll be able to subsidize use in developing countries. So how does the business plan work? We are going to offer the wave breaker on a device and service model. For example, if each wave breaker costs approximately $80,000, the yearly maintenance will depend on the site of the installation. In 2025, we look to be in 3 cities. In 2028, we are looking to be in 60 cities. And in 2032, we look to be the worldwide leader in flood reduction and coastal resilience with 2.2 million wave breakers installed across the globe. If you feel the same urgency that I do to protect communities against climate change, then come talk to me. Coastal Protection Solutions has the revolutionary patent-pending technology now. Thank you.
So I promised it would not be all doom and gloom, and now you all see that there's both hope and opportunity that we're talking about today. And now I would like to welcome Danny Wright.
Hey everyone, my name's Danny Wright. I'm the founder of Gravity Water. And in 2015, I was in Nepal at a school teaching English and art. And what I noticed was every day after lunch, the students would line up and drink dirty water out of a tap. They knew the water was dirty and dangerous, yet they continued to drink it. And the reality was in that moment, these children had a decision to make. Do I drink water that could potentially get me sick, or do I go back to class thirsty? Well, this is a decision that millions of children have to make every day, and over 2 billion people are dependent on a contaminated water source for daily use. We launched Gravity Water back in 2016 to address some of the challenges with this issue. And what we wanted to do was answer 3 questions. The first was, how do we create a solution that's resilient to failure over time for these communities? The second was, how do we ensure that what we're providing these communities isn't just addressing the challenges they face today, but those of the future as well with the changing climate? And the third was, we wanted to know how we could bring this solution to scale in the areas that needed it most, mainly the Global South. Well, since launching this technology, we spent the first few years really focused on that question around resilience. And what we came up with was a simple yet innovative solution that combined rainwater harvesting, elevated storage, and gravity-fed filtration, which helps schools provide over 1,000 liters of safe drinking water completely energy-free every day. We did this all with local materials and skill sets, and this was important because if something failed on the system, the community had access to the tools and resources needed to repair it. Through this model, we've been able to expand our impact to serve over 90,000 children with safe drinking water in the Asia-Pacific region, and we've been able to do it for less than $1 per student per year. We've also helped these schools conserve over 30 million liters of traditional water source, groundwater, and surface water, and reduce their water costs by over $1 million. We're really proud of the accomplishments that we've made over the last few years. However, we know if we're going to affect change at a global level, we need to think bigger. Well, last year, we got the opportunity to do exactly that. At the beginning of 2022, a corporate partner approached us and asked us, how can we offset 10 million gallons of groundwater use through rain? It was in a watershed that they were manufacturing in Vietnam where we were working. Well, we realized to hit that number, what we had to do was we had to provide rain to schools, not just for drinking water, but for all use. And what we came up with was this really cool technology that automates rainwater harvesting. And what I mean by that is that when it starts raining, the schools automatically start using that rain. And when there's not rain present or not enough rain, it automatically transitions to their traditional water supply. Now, through this technology, we're already seeing savings of over 50% of annual water use by these schools. So we went back to the corporate partner and we said, hey, we did the math. It looks like we're going to need to do about 250 school projects to help you hit your goals. They didn't bat an eye. The reason why was because not only were we helping them hit their environmental goals, we were also helping them provide over 100,000 children with safe drinking water as a byproduct. And so in this way, we started answering these questions, the second and third question around climate resilience and bringing it to scale. In fact, we've quadrupled our annual revenue over the last year through these corporate partnerships, and we're on track to increase our historic impact by over 300% over the next 10 months as we pilot in Taiwan and Malaysia. For bringing our technology to scale to help with climate resilience, in the last 24 hours in New York, we've seen over 5 billion gallons come down in rain. How much of that water entered the ground? Very little. Almost all the water went out to sea. And so our question is, what would happen if during the days it rained, we used that rainwater and turned off our groundwater pumps? What would that do to climate resilience? What would that do to ensuring that we have water security, to prevent saltwater intrusion on our coastlines in our mega cities? These are all questions that we're asking, and we're doing it in a big way by launching the world's largest research study on rainwater harvesting at scale with the economics department at Santa Clara University. What we're studying is the economic, social, and environmental outcomes of rainwater harvesting, and our goal is to complete this on 10,000 structures by the end of 2026. What we then want to do is utilize this data to bring our solution to scale and help inform policymakers on how to invest wisely in rainwater harvesting. At the same time, we know that public infrastructure won't get us there, and we need to enter the private marketplace if we're really going to create a difference. What we just did was submit patents on our new technology that automates rainwater, and our goal is to be able to provide water utility companies with the technology to monetize rainwater and integrate it into their current structures. Through this approach, we know we can reach millions of structures, and we can leverage licensing fees to feed back into our philanthropic model. So we have a really great model, and we're really excited what the future holds, but there is areas of support. Obviously, the first one is opportunities for collaboration, mainly with corporate partners right now as we use their philanthropy strategically to achieve scale. The second is we actually really need help with capacity building. We had to pass on over $300,000 in funding this year because we didn't have the team to bring it to scale. We also would love to work with development groups to help build and strengthen our pre-existing relationships with governments as they're a critical part of success. And we're happy to announce we just launched our for-profit leg of our organization in Southeast Asia, and we'll be ready for upcoming investments in the near future. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It is really impossible not to be inspired by the scale of the ambition and the execution. And now I would like to welcome Nyla Mabro, Head of Strategy and Marketing at The Clean Fight, who is going to talk about their commitment to action. Thank you so much.
So here's a simple truth. If we do not decarbonize buildings, we don't solve the climate crisis. It might be a surprise to people that New York City's biggest climate challenge is buildings. 70% of greenhouse gas emissions in New York City come from buildings. And it's not just a New York problem. It's the same in London, 70% of emissions. In Mumbai, 67% of emissions. In Tokyo, 80% of emissions. And it's not like buildings are going away anytime soon. The IEA projects that the equivalent of a New York City is going to be built every month for the next 40 years. So it bears repeating that if we do not decarbonize buildings, we don't solve the climate crisis. So, not to be depressing, where to start? The taller the building, the harder it is to decarbonize. You know, skyscrapers, tall multifamily buildings have complex systems that require custom solutions that are often expensive and often very disruptive to install. And there are solutions that exist, but we need more solutions that are easier to adopt, solutions that are easier for building owners from all communities to be able to adopt, those who are dealing with aging infrastructure, with limited reserve funds, with fewer options for financing. And so that's where our commitment to action comes into play. I'm Nyla Mabro from the Clean Fight, and along with the Rocky Mountain Institute and the New York State Energy Research and Development Authority, are creating a $10 million prize to find innovators from around the world who can develop and demonstrate solutions with high GHG impact that can help to decarbonize tall buildings, and solutions that can really help to overcome the two primary barriers to adoption across the economic spectrum, which are cost and complexity of installation. And we're excited to be able to share more about the prize when we launch on October the 11th, and really look forward to everyone being able to help us to find these amazing innovators from around the world to help solve this critical climate challenge. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And now I would like to welcome Carlos Ramos.
Hi, everyone. I'm Carlos. I'm from Brazil. And I'm proud to present you Isoblock. And Isoblock transforming the way of build and live. And I have a grateful to represent Brazil and Latin America here. And Clinton Global Initiative give me a voice to talk about houses, greenhouses. In journey of Isoblock, it's not necessary to be a scientist that you think that houses should be constructed different. And with this, we started our journey, and we progress our concrete. We have a green concrete that has improving since 2018. And now we have a concrete that is a version 5.0 that is less cement and cut fire insulation, not moldy and anti-moisture. And what moves us? What moves us is not the technical. Some engineers, not me, think only technical about the material. And we thought about people. How these people can think about climate change. Because they need this change because they are vulnerable. They live in houses that have mold. They live in houses that have moisture. They sick, they go to the hospital, they die. And think about this, we develop our business that changed my life, and today changed 200 life of families. And we believe that greenhouses dignify lives and must be affordable, must be energy efficiency, use circular economy, fire safety, and health. And why Isoblock is unique? Because you put together the construct thinking with clean thinking and social thinking. We impact construction industry, we impact the circular economy, and we impact the community. In the process that we have a manufacturing that don't have emissions, you reuse mining tail, for example, but we use other materials. Unmold, for example, we use oil, vegetable oils from cooperatives. And in construction, our leftovers is completely reusable, 100%. And we make unique greenhouses, reducing cement. Our goal is in 2026, we zero cementing our material. But in the same product, we have fire security, 4 hours, insulation, acoustic, thermal insulation, anti-moisture, and anti-mold. This is dignify houses for everybody. And to be this affordable is what Isoblock make. And today we are a profit business in Brazil. We sell, we commercialize our product with success, not like I like it, but we are growing, making bootstrap. We don't have investment in Brazil. In Brazil, the construction guy think totally different what we are doing, and but the people think like us. Think that should live in a house like Isoblock deliver. And to grow up, we need financial investment, business digitalization. We make a transformation, a digital transformation, improve our technology, experts to support us to internalize our business, and sales and marketing support, and also use in public buildings. And we are scale up with mobile manufacturers put together with a digital platform to go to the site of the building. Thank you for this moment here.
Thank you so much. We have 2 more incredible entrepreneurs. I'd like to next welcome to the stage Shweta Jaju.
Our job is to provide energy to the last mile, and I hope I bring back some energy back into the room. Okay. Yeah. So, hello, I'm Shweta Jaju. I am the co-founder and CEO of Energy Solar, and we have been providing reliable energy solutions since 2009. Through our work, we have been able to impact more than 1 million lives, and our clear mission is to provide solar irrigation solutions to smallholder farmers, making them affordable and accessible while they achieve more crop per drop and doubling their income. For this, we have been supported and recognized by Yale University, V4Rev, a USAID initiative, SEED Award, a UNDP initiative, and many more. Although the grid lines are available in villages, but it is practically impossible and financially not viable to drag the grid lines to the field. And that is where solar plays a catalytic role. Our business model is solar has been there for a lot of time, but the penetration has been abysmally low. And that is where we stand out by bringing threefold innovations: technological, business model, and financial innovations. Through our technological innovations, we have been able to provide climate-smart irrigation facilities to smallholder farmers while achieving more crop per drop. Our business model innovation lies on reaching out to smallholder farmers by VAS model, which is water as a service model, where excess of water is sold to the neighboring lands, and group model, where we are reducing the capex burden on the farmers. Third, our financial innovation is twofold. First, we are bringing revolving corpus, and second, our financial instrument like first loss default guarantee helps to reduce the capex burden as well as reach out to the smallholder farmers who are considered as unbankable and risky by the banks. Fueled by an unwavering need to transform lives, we have been able to develop an enabling ecosystem through capacity building, training, and awareness programs. Our expansion plan is fourfold. We want to have greater partnerships, we want to delve into new customer segments, and delve deeper into new geographies, and have new product developments. So by new product developments, we want to have new technologies into the market, such as sensor-based drip, precision farming, solar agro-processing machines, and MSMEs and agro-MSMEs. So our commitment to action is to bring solar irrigation solutions to 900,000 farmers by 2028. Farmers are the backbones of any developing nation, and that is why it is important to make them climate resilient. Through our work, we have been able to save 390,000 tons of greenhouse gas emissions. Our target is to grow 10x by 2028, and for that, we require $2 million of funding in equity, and we also require grant funds to test our technologies as well as build enabling ecosystems and build capacity building. We have had a set of amazing partners, and we have been privileged to have some amazing partners who are over here as well, such as Dewin Foundation, Miller Center, and many more. But to grow, we need more, to build stronger partnerships at grassroots levels, as well as develop stronger financial models and have more technical assistance. Behind the heart and soul of Onergy lies a fierce commitment to empower farmers, to lessen fossil fuels, to lessen the burden on fossil fuels, and make agriculture more sustainable. Thank you.
Amazing. That was great. I hope all of you are feeling energized as we talk about clean energy and we talk about the next generation of energy. And now I'd like to welcome Rahul Shah. Thank you so much.
Hello, I am Rahul Shah, founder of Achuk. I am privileged to present our invention, which has the potential to make us climate resilient. As an architect, I have been engaged in innovating designs and materials. One such a spin-off and one such endeavors led to invention of Achuk, an eco-friendly fire extinguishing composition. Initial tests and trials brought us together a team, Sona, Nishant, and Kari, who have expertise in manufacturing, strategy, and global sales. Achuk in Sanskrit means unfailable. Achuk fights fires instantaneously, safely, and easily for temperatures up to 1100 degrees Celsius. Few days before, we have seen how the smoke from Canada have blanketed the New York City. We also know that how Eurasian fires, boreal fires, have added to the greenhouse gases. Australian bushfires have been the most costliest fires, leading and pushing several million species to extinction. 80% of Australia has been affected by that. In California, recently 10,000 structures have been damaged due to fires. Coal mines in India, Australia, China, and USA have been emitting tremendous amount of toxic gas and pollute the environment for several years now. On one hand, we have these large-scale devastating fires which are devastating the ecosystem, and on the other hand, the fires fueled by the synthetic material around us are burn at a very high rate, high temperature, and are highly toxic. All these add to the challenges for all the countries who are really trying hard to achieve the sustainable goals. Achuk is unique in terms of the way it performs on the fire. Usually in fire, the present technologies which have been mostly invented in the 1950s try to put off the fire by putting off one of the aspects of the fire, that is, either they put off the heat, either they put off the oxygen, or either they segregate the fuel, separate the fuel. Achuk does all this simultaneously and in a sustained manner, meaning if the water goes to the fire, it may act for some time, but it will vaporize. In Achuk, it remains there for a long time, and that helps us extinguish the fire instantaneously, safely, and easily. Achuk is eco-friendly, Achuk has a long shelf life, and Achuk is highly effective on high temperature fires. The biggest advantage of Achuk is that it puts off the fire in very less time. Time meaning, if you compare, almost 10 times faster than the conventional solutions. It has been tested in front of the experts. In one such case, I had heard on the TV that there was a fire of some 900 kilometers away in a solid waste site. This fire was very deep-seated, and the firefighters were continuing to fight for a very long time. We put that fire off in just some time. Achuk is available in forms of fire extinguishers and fire composition. It is also delivered through air, and it can also be delivered through drone. With patents in India, Australia, USA, and applied in Canada and Europe, Achuk is poised to save life, property, and environment. We are looking for partners to take this work forward to the world. We want to develop our manufacturing facilities further. We have to boost our sales. And we have to initiate global certification because this fire field is such that we have to take certifications just like medicine. I thank the Clinton Global Initiative to allow us to give this platform for such a nice way it has been done. And I invite you all to take partnership with us to save life, property, and environment in this present world. Thank you so much.
I want to first start by thanking these incredible entrepreneurs. You bring us your heart, your aspiration, your effort, your grit, your sweat, and everything you do every day to make the world better. And we really thank you for giving us your time and standing up here in this room, which is not easy, sometimes not in your native language, and giving us really a glimpse at way the world could be. So thank you so much to all of you. And I want to thank our judges who are so diligent they actually ran out of paper over there. We've done really such a thoughtful and incredible job of taking seriously their mandate to measure and think about what comes next for so many of these companies. So thank you to all of you for bringing your expertise and your light to us today. And then thank you to you for sitting here in chairs that are not always the most comfortable and really bringing us your ideas and your imagination. We thank you for being part of this because it really is up to every single one of us to think through the system which we're part of and what the world might be compared to what it is today. Tomorrow in this room, we'll host 3 Greenhouse events. There'll be a networking session for women in innovation at 8 a.m., a panel discussion about supporting entrepreneurs of color at 11:30 a.m., and then the third content session of Greenhouse on global health equity at 1 p.m. Come back, join us, and have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you.
Thank you for joining this session. Please make your way to the afternoon main stage session.
All along the eastern shore, put your